What's up, whole leaders? My name is Jonathan Baker. Welcome to the Student Life Leadership Podcast.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Student Life Leadership Podcast. And it is my honor, my joy, my privilege to welcome Mr. Jonathan Baker, the Director of Student Experience and Community Engagement here at ORU. Jonathan, thanks for joining us today. We're excited to lean in, to learn, and to grow. So I encourage you, wherever you are right now, get some notes, pull up the Notes app on your phone, whatever you need, because I know Jonathan's got some wisdom he's about to download into us today. Before we get started, Jonathan, will you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Man, thank you. Honored to be here. So I serve as the Director of Student Experience and Community Engagement, like you said. My office is in the Hammer Center, so would love to meet you and hear your story. Please stop by. So I am married. Matter of fact, this year is our 7th year of marriage. And so, 7 years in heaven. And we have 3 beautiful children. So a little bit about me. And then funny story, how we met at ORU. Look, I'm not saying you're going to meet the one at ORU, but I'm saying that I met the one at ORU.
Come on.
And so she is a back row seater in class. I'm a front row seater in class. So, for those of you who have not seen me or don't know me yet, I'm bald. So I did have hair at one time, but it started thinning out, and I had to pray to the Lord and said, Lord, you're gonna have to make me look good, like the Transporter or like the Rock. Lord, you're gonna have to help me. So I have a bald head. But going back into the classroom when we've met, she was in the back row, and she says, wow, who is this? And I'm new to ORU at this time. I'm still trying to figure out where to go for my classes and my friends and all that. And she's like a 5th year senior. And she's like, who's this? And I stood up at the end of the class, walked out, and she's like, oh. Let's just say the rest is history. So awesome. That's another story for another time. But it was great. We met, and we've been married 7 years. So I came to ORU in 2009, and it's been a lot of fun journey. And so if there's 3 things that I love, it would be I love the Lord, and I love personal development. I love my family. I should say second, I love my family. And then I love personal development, which is a part of leadership development. So it's a little bit about me. What I forgot to mention, what we do in my role here at ORU, I'll try to focus on 3 things. Number 1 is experience. So we want all of our students to have a great experience through our programs, through our events. We want them to have a great time. Community, man, that's the hallmark of ORU. We want you guys to get plugged in, students get plugged in, feel loved, valued, important. We want to develop community on campus. And then leadership, we're really focused on leadership. I was in the Navy for 4 years. I learned more about leadership here at ORU during my time here than I did in 4 years in the military. So I love leadership and learning about it and practicing it. So that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Well, as we jump in, would you mind kind of giving us a preview? What are you going to talk about, and why is it important for ORU students specifically?
Absolutely. So for me, the focus is productivity, the power of a morning routine. That's what I want to talk about today.
Come on.
Yeah. So I'll share a little story, kind of how this came about. So I came to ORU, and I'm a 24, 25-year-old freshman, and I had a great time. And then met my wife Ashley, and then in 2014 we had our first child. And as you know, there's a lot of adjustments that need to take place. And so I was at the time I was the residence hall director. I'm in EMR, which was the biggest hall on campus for men. And so we have our first child. He was bottle fed, which means we made the agreement that we would take turns, take a night. So she would take a night to feed the baby while she rested, and vice versa. And so we were in this routine where we were kind of waking up in the morning and waking up with my son David. His name's David, and we were just waking up with him, and then just going to kind of picking up the pieces, getting breakfast, and then going to work. And I kind of got out of a routine, and I felt behind and trying to catch up. My Bible study reading was not real consistent, or was real short. And, when those things happen, you feel like you're lacking, power. You're lacking intimacy with God. I'm lacking effectiveness. And so it was a real challenge. And so I was really, God help me, God, I was praying to God, like, I need some support here. And I happened to find this podcast and this guy named Hal Elrod, and he authored a book called The Miracle Morning. And so I want to share that with you today to help, in your, be more productive. Students often are like, how do I manage my time? And, all of those questions. And so I think this will help you. And so I want to share this quote by John Maxwell. He's, of course, one of my heroes and a leadership guru. He says, the secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. And so what we do each day, he said one time, I can go to your house, I can spend a day with you, and I can tell if you are going to be a success or not. And it's just really by looking at what our routines are, what our habits are, what our priorities are, and so forth. So that kind of inspires me a little bit, because we can either happen to our day, or our day can happen to us.
Come on.
And as we're developing into whole leaders and for the whole world, we want to be very intentional in happening to our day and planning that day. So here we go. So I want to share with you like this. He calls it the Miracle Morning, and it's the 6 practices that will help you be successful and be productive and be fulfilled in your life. And so they are called the Life Savers, and Savers is an acronym. And so it's I want to talk about the first one. It talks about S stands for silence. So this is your prayer, your meditation, and this podcast, you can, if you just Google Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, you can find the podcast. He's got an amazing story. I mean, his story, by the way, he was in a tragic car accident when he was just like in his early 20s. He got hit in the side and went through this hospital time and thought he couldn't walk, and went through this process where he was pretty at his lowest moment and developed this routine, and he was able to be positive. The depression that he had went away. He was able to triple his income at the time. He was able to go on and run an ultra marathon. He ended up being able to walk and run an ultra marathon and become a very sought after success coach. And so this is kind of what he put together. So S is for silence. This is prayer and meditation. And so I just put my Christian kind of hat on and was like, okay, yeah, prayer and meditation. Because sometimes when you talk meditation, that could be real, not sure what you mean, but I'm Joshua 1:9 or Joshua 1:8 is what I mean by meditation. Meditate on the word day and night. Number 2, or the A, stands for affirmations. So these are positive affirmations that we can speak over ourselves, our identity in Christ. I want to share even a few of the affirmations that I put together for myself that can be completely adapted to, what a student would want. But it's kind of your greatest self. It's like maybe not where you're at now, but what you're wanting to be. You're kind of calling that out. And so I want to share those right now. So I put these, I say this. So I am a world-class, world-renowned father, success coach, author, and speaker. I'm the foremost authority and an expert in leadership, family, and team building with married couples, business teams, and athletic teams. I am a New York Times best-selling author, so help me God. I am the son of the Most High God and a joint heir with Christ. I will educate, inspire, and train people to achieve their personal best and fulfill their maximum potential so that they can live a more satisfied and fulfilling life and accomplish their dreams. I will, with the help of the Lord and my wife and family, bring healing, unity, and love in every person and team I work with. I will accomplish what God's called me to do. I will serve my generation by the will of God. And so those can be adapted. Those are just some of the things that I say, but they kind of get you going, like, let's go. So that's affirmations. V stands for visualization. So this is, seeing yourself, seeing your goal, seeing your dream, picturing yourself at that moment with the end in mind. And he goes on to say, then as you picture yourself at your highest level, at your highest peak, then you bring it back to today and visualize yourself taking action today to take further steps towards your goal. So for him, it was writing this book. And so he pictured himself with, writing this book. He pictured, people sharing it and being like, this is so awesome. This is the greatest book I've ever read, that kind of thing. And then he took it back to today and was like, okay, he pictured himself like typing frantically, just with all the words to say and all of that. So visualization is a big key in helping you in the miracle morning. The E stands for exercise. And as you study successful people, a lot of them have exercise in their routine. And they run, they work out. 10 minutes of exercise can give you a great mental and physical boost with the amount of endorphins that are released.
So you talked about how you were in the Navy, correct?
Yeah.
And how you came out of that into ORU. So I'm curious, when you talk about exercise, what parallels come in your mind from Navy life that maybe college students should adopt when they're thinking about their exercise in their morning routines?
Man, so just to give you a picture, when we were in, there's boot camp, and, you're running in boots. And matter of fact, I couldn't feel my big toe, my right big toe. I couldn't feel my right big toe for the longest time after boot camp. You're running in boots, and you have to run, similar to here, you have to run a 2-mile test. You got to pass it. But what's interesting is afterwards, in A school, we had to get up 5 a.m. in the morning, and you had to be out there. You had to do your workout. Wow. And to stay fit. And it kind of reminds me of the ORU. ORU has some standards here. Not like you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. Yeah. But they have a physical requirement that helps us be fit. And it's really important for us. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Great question. So exercise is huge. Reading is the other R. And my wife and I, before we got married, we took this class called Financial Peace University by Dave Ramsey. And in that course, they talked about how the average millionaire reads one nonfiction book a month. And I thought to myself, man, that is great. And then I think he even mentioned, he's like, somebody was like, I want to be a 2-time millionaire, so I'm going to read two books a month, and so reading is huge. And on that case, a little side note, what I've been learning as I've been reading is that when you read, I didn't start reading. I was out of college. I had graduated. I was kind of in grad school at this point. I was not really reading books, but that kind of started my journey to read. And I read Dave Ramsey's book, Financial Peace, in like 2 days. I just couldn't put it down. It was an amazing book. But when you read, you increase your value, and people pay for what's valuable. The last S to finish out the SAVERS acronym for your morning routine is scribing, which is essentially journaling. And, there's a lot of things on journaling and how helpful that is for us, writing down things that you're thankful for, things that you're dreaming about. For us in the Christian realm, hey, what am I, believing God for? What am I believing God for? And scribing those things. So those are the life savers that I want to share with you that, could really help you in your morning routine. So here's a couple of things. Here's where I want to challenge you to take action. So how do you do this? How do you do this? And so really, your morning routine starts in the evening. So you have to be intentional with how you start your day. Now, so I know college students are saying, well, it's not too much or too hard for a college student to stay up until 1, 2, 3 all night, and so I get a lot where, it's hard for me to get up early in the morning. And so I understand that definitely is a challenge. And it's just being intentional. There were times when I was in ORU, I'd go to bed at midnight, but I had to get up early in the morning. And just, so here's the goal is to be intentional at night. And matter of fact, I even have, there's even Hal Elrod, even if you look at this, and I can get the website or web link to you. He has the Miracle Morning Bedtime Affirmations. And so he says this, like, I'm going to bed tonight at, and you can fill in the blank, 10 p.m. and waking up at 5 a.m., which gives me, 7 hours of sleep. And then he says, this is plenty. In fact, it is exactly what I need in order to perform at peak level tomorrow. The reality is my mind controls my body, and I really only need as much sleep as I tell myself and choose to believe that I need. Most of the successful people in history have functioned optimally on 4 to 6 hours of sleep. I cannot allow myself to fall into the limiting belief that sleeping more will somehow improve my life. In fact, it will be seriously detrimental to my stress level, finances, relationships, career, and lifestyle goals. Wow. My quality of life, as I know it, depends on my waking up on time tomorrow. And he has more, but it's just prepping ourselves. Because have you ever said, oh my gosh, it's midnight, I got to get up at 6 in the morning. That's 6 hours of sleep. I'm going to wake up and be so tired. And then you wake up in the morning, and guess what? You are so tired because you only got. And so, but confessing, that hey, I'm going to be excited when I wake up. It's almost like we have the opportunity every day to create, and he gives this example in his podcast, but to create a Christmas morning, and for Christmas morning or your birthday or it's the first day of school, sometime where you're so excited about getting up in the morning, like that's what you want to create for our lives. Yeah. That there's this expectancy, like, man, I'm going to wake up. I mean, if you ask somebody, hey, when's the last time you got excited about getting up in the morning? What would the answer be? Wow. That's good. So creating, we have the opportunity to create that. And so that's kind of the whole point. And I'll say this. So what you want to do to put this into practice is just set your alarm back. Just start 15 minutes or 30 or 60, whatever you want. This is my challenge for you all. And then, set your alarm and then wake up. Here's the thing. And Hal Elrod mentions this in his podcast. He says, when our alarm wakes off, when our alarm sounds, and when we snooze, we're almost like saying, and this convicted me when I first heard this. I was like, oh my gosh, we're almost saying like, no, like I'm not, like almost like we're starting the day off with procrastination. Wow. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. That hit me. I was like, oh my gosh. Because how many of us have hit that multiple times? Yep. And so that really challenged me. And so I want to start the day, waking up strong. And so he gives 3 tips on when you wake up. Set the alarm at the other side of the room. That way you have to get up and there's motion. Brush your teeth. So when you wake up, brush your teeth. It just helps keep you get movement, and helps you wake up. Then the next thing is splash some water on your face, and then drink a glass of water. Drink a glass of water helps you kind of get up, help get you moving and about. And then practice the lifesavers. You can take each one and just start with 1 minute a day. So 1 minute of silence, 1 minute of affirmations, 1 minute of visualization, 1 minute exercise. Do jumping jacks for a minute. Read 1 minute of reading. And then, 1 minute of journal. You could do this thing in 6 minutes, just 1 minute each. So, and then adapt it to fit your life. Like everybody has different things that really motivate them, that really, they're excited about. And so try to find things in silence that get them going. Maybe, prayer, meditation, so forth. So that's kind of what I wanted to share today. This has significantly helped me. I asked my wife before this. I was like, hey, do you remember when we started doing this and like started getting up early in the morning? And she's like, yeah, like I thought you were crazy. And so like she didn't join me for the longest time. Like, I was waking up. I mean, I've woken up, just so you guys are aware, I've woken up sometimes at 4 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 5 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 6, sometimes 7. I've kind of, been all over. But I don't want that to get, I don't want you to get hung up on all that. Just find a time that you get up a little earlier than normal. Because most people get up. So if I've got an 8:50 class and it takes me 10 minutes to get there, I'm probably going to get up at, 8:30, right? As a student. That's maybe what, and they roll out of bed, they go to class and they get there. But man, what I'm saying is, shift it back a little bit more, spend some time on doing what you want to do, which is your miracle morning, and then go to class. And that's you happening to your day versus your day happening to you. I just want to close with this. I want to remind you that, hey, look, you are destined for greatness. God has a great calling for you. And while you're here, and beyond, God is equipping you to do what he's called you to do and to be a whole leader for the whole world. So I want to ask you, hey, what does your morning routine look like? And what is one thing that you've learned today that you can implement in your morning routine to help you feel more productive and win the day? Most successful people, they have a morning routine or a morning ritual that helps them win the day. And so, Jim Rohn said this, because this is really a personal development routine. It's really an opportunity for you to grow. And so he says this: your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
Yeah.
So I challenge you, develop a morning routine that will help you be more productive and live a more fulfilled life.
That's so good. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for sharing that. I was taking notes while you were talking. So good. I need to be better about my morning routine, so you're challenging me, convicting me. I had a question, because I think a lot of students, especially at ORU, they think, man, I want to do this, but it's hard to do it in my room. I have a roommate, or it's too quiet in there, or if I stay in my room, I'm just going to go back to sleep. So what would you recommend, knowing campus, knowing Tulsa, about where to do these things? If I'm going to get out of bed, where should I go? Where should I go to do some of these savers?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question, because when I was in undergrad, I would get up sometimes 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, which is early. Nobody's in the alcove or no one's in the hallway. Everybody's sleeping. And my roommate was asleep. He was asleep. And so I just went to the alcove and did that. So that's definitely one area you could look at. But, my question to you is, what's your sweet spot? What's a place where you can go that, gives you energy? Sometimes, for people who love to run and exercise, sometimes you can run and spend time with the Lord while you're running.
Come on.
So there's different ways to be able to kind of do what you want to do. Outside is great, especially when it's nice. We've got some of the greatest spots on campus. Prayer Tower, Prayer Gardens, but it's really just finding your sweet spot that helps you. And it is a challenge. Like I want to just say, like, it's okay if you've got 7 days in the week. And just if you start off just hitting 1 day a week, that's great. That's progress. If you started off with 0, then hey, let's try to get it to 2, and then try to get 3. And if you're hitting 5 to 6 days out of the week, I think that's great. You're trying to take progress and start baby steps. Baby steps are fine. Yeah.
That's super great. And I would encourage you guys all that are listening, that are students, that have big dreams of God using you. Read about CEOs or lead church pastors, big people that do organizational stuff, people that own Disney. These big people that are doing big things in the world, big companies. If you read about their lives, about their routines, I would guess 98% of them have morning routines, and they don't just wake up whenever they want. They actually have routines. They're purposeful. They're directed. So much of what Jonathan was saying isn't just true for his life or for you as a student, but for people that are 50, 60, 70 and super successful in their leadership. So I'd encourage you to, look back at these notes, look at what you can add tomorrow morning. Don't wait for next week. Don't wait for next month. It's never going to happen. What does it look like tomorrow morning?
That's good.
To even just try one of these savers in the morning. If you can't do all of them, great. If not, just start with one. Start from there and let's go. Let's be morning people that have a good routine and allow God to use it to prepare us for our next season. So Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all for jumping into the Student Life Leadership Podcast. And we hope to see you for our next episode. Until then, keep growing.